T.Y. Lin. He'll go over our presentation. Yeah, can you please switch to 7B? It should be the East Periwinkle Way Bridge project.
Well, while we're waiting for the presentation, I can ask an obvious question,
Go
which
ahead.
you're probably going to cover anyway, but is the money frozen?
Say again?
Is the funding from the federal government for the reconstruction of this bridge currently frozen?
That I don't know.
Steve Chapel, Vice Mayor. So we have been in contact. This is one of two federal grants that we are receiving directly from the federal government as opposed to going through FEMA. So I'll carve out the FEMA recoveries because that's a completely separate process right now. We've reached out to both state, local, and federal authorities when a first rescission, a first issue of the memo came out about frozen funds last Monday. That memo that ostensibly froze those funds was rescinded on Tuesday, but the procedure is still in place to review federal grants. Our grant for specifically the one we're talking about right here, the Periwinkle Bridge replacement, and then we also have a dune walkover grant, are not subject of any currently executed executive orders, which don't believe are going to come under any kind of scrutiny. They're not controversial projects, and typically infrastructure projects like this do tend to move forward as opposed to other more controversial topics.
Okay, so I have nothing to worry about.
You have nothing to worry about as of
Vice
today.
Mayor, that is part of my conversation with our senator and congressman as I have some time with them in the next couple of days.
Well, great, good luck.
And just to clarify, you have plenty to worry about, but not this.
You still have.
Well, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and member of the council, and the city officials, and ladies and gentlemen of the public. It's my honor to present this important project for the city. This bridge
There you go.
Reset there again. Yeah, there you go. This bridge is built in 1969, and it served the purpose of the design life of the bridge itself. Unfortunately, that it have facing the hurricanes, 2022 Hurricane Ian kind of took it out. You can see the picture that what we took during the hurricane, and you can see that all the foundations and the substructure that got a little bit damaged into it, but mainly is the support that actually opened up during the hurricane. You can see that the seawall is kind of narrow at the bridge in compared to the neighborhood seawall. The neighborhood seawall is about 100 feet wide, and the the bridge seawall is only 30 feet. And then also that during the hurricane, the storm is kind of funneling through at that locations. Because when the storm coming, this bridge is supposed to be underwater based on the 100-year flood conditions or storm event. And once all the water try to rushing through, it's going to be washed out the entire support structure that is below it. Fortunately, on our bridge, the foundation is still standing, that we can repair it and can get going with immediately can have the traffic go on it. It have a very narrow navigation span, so that it's only 30 feet. I think that it's kind of narrow for most of the any vessel that try to pass through it. It also have a shallow seawall embankment. That's the reason why that when the water try to rushing through it, when you have a seawall that's not deep enough, it wash away, bottom out, and it open up the entire thing, and that's the reason why they have a, all the backfill is been washed away. You have a substandard sidewalk on the north side, and then you also have a substandard side distance. Why I'm saying that is because that right now your current bridge, when you're going through it with the 35 miles per hour, you have a limited sight distance to allow the vehicle to stop. Fortunately, we don't have any accident around the area. So proposed improvement, the first thing is the typical section. This typical sections right now is reviewed by the FDOT, and we will try to get approval from there. So the improvement we're going to make is we're going to make the changing the lane width from existing 11 feet to 12 feet. I know that the current road is probably 11 feet lane for the Periwinkle Way. We need to have a 12 feet is because that in the future, if you need to change something, now is a good time to do it. And then also that the share U pass, which is the one that you have the bicycle right now, is only 8 feet, and we're going to change it to 10 feet, which is much more standard for all the share use paths that going to be used. Then the north side of the sidewalk right now currently 3'6" is not good enough. If you later on you want to add a sidewalk walkway on the north side, because it's not going to be what we call it, the ADA compliance for all the handicapped people. So that's why we changed to 5 feet. We added the utility corridor. The utility corridor is basically that we want to link the entire bridge together, and then we make all the utility can be placed on that, so that you have much more easy maintenance in the future, because the utilities rest on the top of the bridge. As I have told you, we have a substandard of the profile itself. In order to raise the profile up to create more clearance, you need to lower the speed, and that's the reason we lower the speed. We also try to lower the speed to meet the current FDOT standard, which is the FORA design manual on the section number 210, 10.3. And based on the 25 miles per hour speed, we will be able to raise the bridge much more higher than what is currently right now what we have. And also that based on that, we also allow the slower traffic have a chance for the sight distance to stop the car, especially that you have a 2 intersection on both sides. And that is very important, because those are the 2 things that actually tie down our profile for the bridge. That's why we cannot raise too high. It's only the highest that we can raise. Next improvement is the navigation span. The horizontal clearance right now is 30 feet, or 28.5 feet for any vessel that's going fast through underneath. We're going to have a 60-foot span, but it's going to create a horizontal clearance right now to 56.5 feet. So that's a huge improvement. The lowest members, which is the bottom of the deck, right now the existing is only 9.9 feet. We're going to go into the elevation of 10.9 feet based on the 25 miles per hour design speed. We're going to have a deeper seawall embankment for the scour protections, because the shallow the seawall is difficult to protect it. And so that way that we don't need to put any riprap below it. And then we'll align the seawall. Right now that the seawall is only 30 feet, we're going to align the seawall with the neighborhood seawall together, so that you have a wider channel to allow a natural flow for during the hurricanes or any storm event. So we will set our bridge end at the end, which is with the concrete seawall, so we can protect it, so that all the approach slab, which we call it the approach roadway, won't be washed away for the next hurricane conditions. For the construction sequence, the first thing we're going to do is to build the north sidewalk on the north side. So that way that during these conditions, we're not going to have any traffic interruption. Is because that we still can maintain the two-lane two-way traffic at this moment. Once it's built, we will have the pedestrian traffic, which is from the share use pass that you currently have, go up north and using that so that we can build the bridge on the south side and close the pedestrian traffic of that. But during that time, we only can have one lane, two-way traffic with the signal. Then the next thing that what we do, after we finish it, we move the traffic to the south. And then we can have, because the bridge is wide enough, we can have two-lane, two-way. We still maintain the pedestrian traffic on the north, and while we build the middle of the bridge. Oh, okay, then the next thing is to move the traffic to the normal situation and then build the barrier wall so that then we can build the pedestrian share use pass to be used. That's the last thing. And then the estimate schedule, anticipated the contract going to be require award probably April 2026. To require the material to build the bridge will take 4 months. And then initial mobilizations will be 1 month for the contractor to set the equipment on the field. Phase 1 will be 9 months, no traffic impact because we moved the north pedestrian bridge first. Then the phase 2, you have a 9 months, one lane, two-way traffic. Phase 3, we move the traffic down south. You're going to have two lane each way traffic, which is normal for operations for phase 3. Phase 4 is basically resume existing traffic operation, build the barrier wall. And that's conclude my presentation.
Thank you very much. Council, questions? John, go ahead and lead us off.
If I may, on phase 1 and 2, you show on a sidewalk on
Excuse
the
me,
north
John.
side.
Can we go back to the current presentation?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, that's you.
I shot a 7 on that hole the other day.
Okay. I looked up and
What's the par?
it was Groundhog Day all over again.
You won't respond. Can we go back?
He's
Oh, there you go.
got it. If you go to phase 1,
No, there's no four. Yeah.
Thank you, John.
That one, or the next,
next one,
and the next one.
advance,
Yeah,
phase 1.
Yeah, that's,
There we go.
What's in yellow, that's going to be a sidewalk on the north side of the bridge?
correct. That's going to be a
Alright.
sidewalk north side of the bridge. Let me
And-
show you.
And will there be a barrier between that sidewalk and the road itself?
Yes. See, we have two sidewalks. One is on the north side. This is the north side. And then you have the south side, which is a shared use pass.
With the
right here.
shared use path?
So we're going to build the north side sidewalk. So you're going to have a much more narrow sidewalk at this point, but you allow the pedestrian traffic, it's not stopping.
All right, and then go to phase 2, you're extending that all the way past Limpet, or to Limpet?
The phase 2 will build all the way to the south side, and it's actually wider bridge. And because that we need a 10-foot share use pass in compared to the 8-foot, and also the 12-foot lane, it pushed the entire bridge southward. So that we built that things during that time, so allow the two-way traffic to be able to put on afterward.
I guess
Yeah,
the, well, the question I have, if our overall plan for the future might be that we would look at a bike lane, is there feasibility to at least put a bike lane from Limpet all the way to the Causeway Road?
The share use pass is supposed to be used for the, let me go back to the typical sections.
Yeah, I can appreciate the shared use path, and that's for walkers, bikers, everybody.
Okay.
A bike lane would be for the faster bikers. And I'm just, instead of having two sidewalks, shared use path on both sides, could we consider putting possibly a bike lane instead and move the barrier north so that you have basically a wider shoulder with a bike lane?
Yes.
That's just my thinking anyway.
Okay, I will give you an option here. Okay, the shared path can be used for bike lane and per people. That's the reason why that we use 10 feet. But to answer your question, can we add the bike lane into it? Yes. By moving this barrier right here at the utility corridor, make the utility corridor a lot smaller, you can have a 4-foot bike lane.
And the barrier would be north of that. So
Correct.
That way you've got a wider shoulder, and you can use that for bike lane if we ever contemplated putting a bike lane all the way through.
Correct, because that you allow you to have a 4-foot, a little bit, not the current FDOT standard, but it's still accepted for 4-foot bike lane. Most of the new FDOT standard bike lane right now is 7 feet. But to allow that is to, because that right now your shoulder, right now is 2'6", okay? Same thing on the right side is 2'6". We just need to take 3 foot from the utility corridor, move this barrier, allow a 4-foot shoulder and a 4-foot shoulder, which means we add 1.5 foot into the shoulder, it becomes the bike lane. Yeah, it can be done.
In lieu of another sidewalk. We already have the shared use path on the other side.
Yes.
Okay, and people can walk there as well temporarily until the shared use path is open.
Yes. That's an opportunity there, yes. I have looked at that from the beginning, that allow them to have a 4-foot sidewalk.
I like his thinking.
Okay. Anything else, John?
Any question?
Did you get that answer?
That's as far as I got. I haven't
Yeah.
got to phase 3 yet. I'm working on it.
Yeah, it is because that you have a 6'11" utility corridor right there. So we take 3 foot out from that utility corridor. It will give you a 3 foot 11 inches utility corridor, which is, we have a 18 inch? 18 inch?
We got 2 pipelines.
Yes, 18 inch and 8 inch into it. The current utility is 33 inches width for the support. And if we have 3 foot 11, is close to 47 inches support. You see where I'm coming from?
Mayor, if I may,
Yes, sir.
I think what we'd like to do is gather council's input in terms of the cross-section changes that you'd like to look, and then we can have our consulting engineer and our staff work through what those, because it might be some other options in order to achieve the bike lane that they can study. I just don't want our consultant to be committed to that reduction in the utility corridor until we have that collaboration. But we want to get your recommendations for cross-sections changed. That would be very helpful.
The other question I have is, and I've experienced this, certainly going east, and people walking across from Limpet to the shared use path. That's pretty dangerous, because you're going up, it's blind, and then you're coming down. I know you're proposing a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. I think that's probably good. However, I don't know how compliance is going to be difficult to achieve when you have a 35 for the rest of it. And for those who are coming from the east, from East Gulf and going over the bridge, they're probably going to be continuing on at 35 when they get on the other side of the bridge heading west. So I think it's going to be a pretty difficult issue to monitor and to control. I don't know if there's other options, but one might be is a crosswalk with a paddle right there at Limpet. I don't know if that's an answer or not, but I'm just concerned about, you're going to raise it, you're going to make it even more difficult to see over the bridge. Limpet is more of an issue for me than the other entranceway, because that has fewer occupants in the other side. But Limpet does have a lot of occupants.
Right now, you don't have a crosswalk to go across Periwinkle Way to go either side. So it's only your shared use pass.
I'm just throwing that as another option.
Yeah.
I'm really concerned about controlling the speed and somebody getting hit, going over the bridge and coming down. So there may be some options there to. I think the 25, that's a short span. You may have to expand that a little bit further, just so people can get used to going 25, as opposed to, as soon as they get on the top of the bridge, they're going to be gunning it to go 35. So I live there, and so I'm concerned about the east end and the traffic issues.
Yeah, the traffic issue, if you want to change to 25 for entire way, we can look at it. But at this point, it's just a bridge replacement project at this very short distance. And what we're doing here is try to see that what is the safer way to allow the construction to be going to it. Yes, we can do a lot of crosswalk after that, or put some kind of crosswalk with flashing light. All the thing can be put into it. That probably going to be the next project.
Right, and a paddle, sometimes, as soon as you see a paddle, I generally slow down because we know that's a crosswalk. But at any rate, those are options.
Yeah.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, John. Holly?
I'll be brief. I think the bike lane is a great idea as we look at another opportunity to put some of those faster bikes or any bike, the ones that might be class 2 that can go on the roads. I think that's a great option. As far as the speed limit, I don't know why we wouldn't go 25 all the way to the lighthouse. It's basically residential turn areas anyway. So to me, I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for here. That would be a benefit. That's a highly used area, and the more speed control we have, the better. And it's going to be less of an impact for our police officers when you have a shift in 10 miles per hour. To me, that's really difficult to try to control. So you're going to plant somebody there for that. The timeline, you know what, it is what it is, but I hate that it's 2026 and then 3 years from then. But I guess that's potentially what we're looking at. I don't know how that can be fast-tracked, but I look for any opportunity, if we have that, to be able to move that forward. But again, out of my control. Great presentation. It is a presentation. I know you're going to be looking for more input.
Well,
Scott.
I'll just say something. So, basing it on history, like Lingren, I know the consensus was we wanted to leave the road open at all times. So we had one lane with an automated signal. So that was the direction Boone was given. We wanted to leave it open to traffic. But I think if it could be closed to traffic, that would probably reduce the timeline.
The timeline, yes.
But that would cause other
Cause a lot.
issues with, I know
Well-
the city manager had spoken to me about it. I mean, I guess that's something we could potentially consider.
And I get that. It depends on the time of year, because sometimes an inconvenience for a designated short term is a greater long-term benefit. So construction over how many years versus depending on the time of year, that would really, I'd leave that to the experts.
Right. But even though it takes a long time, I know Boone pointed out, only one of the phases is one-way traffic, which was a 9-month time frame where there was one-way traffic with the signal. So the other 3 phases are open to two-way traffic. So even though the overall construction takes a while, there shouldn't be huge impacts to vehicular or pedestrian traffic.
I'd like to add one more thing. No matter what we're doing, because during the constructions, utility relocations or adjustments is the most difficult things for this bridge. And it's going to take a long time for the utility to be adjusted.
Is that during that 9-month period?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Holly. Laura?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for an excellent presentation. I appreciate the work that's gone into it. I had two questions. One is about the timing, and again, looking at the idea that We get started in April of 2026 with an estimated 3 years. And our current bridge, I think you had mentioned, was repaired with a lifespan of about 10 more years.
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
It's the several reasons behind it. You can repair the heck out of it by keep on repairing, but you got to throw the money to very not useful for the entire life of the bridge, because you're going to put money that is not useful. A new bridge will be much more better in this condition because, number one, during the inspection report, the bridge substructure is rating of 5. 5 is considered fair. 4 is in trouble. So basically that you are in the borderline for the foundation. And I can tell you that the current bridge, the piles that support the bridge is only 10 feet below of the embankment length of the seabed. And we have a project that coming, supposed to be doing the protections with the riprap below it. And it didn't perform, it didn't actually happening, Hurricane Ian's already hit. And during this time, and we know that the pile don't have sufficient length. And that's the reason, the urgency that this bridge need to be replaced as soon as what we can do.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm sorry, and could you remind me, and so the pilings for the new bridge will be a lot deeper into the canal?
Correct,
underneath?
yes. Because it will be past what we call the scour effect. When the storm coming, it take out the top of the soil, so you need to account for that length, and also that account for the length that when the bridge hit by the storm, because no matter what we're doing, this bridge going to be below the water of the 100-year storm. The 100-year storm event for the wave is around 15 feet high. So no matter what, we cannot raise the bridge too high because of your two intersections. If not, you're going to have a major construction and affect the driveway of the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. And then for the speed, I also like the proposal, if you all look at, as long as we are lowering the speed limit and need to lower the speed limit for this bridge, to look into, it's a highly, residential, dense neighborhood, looking at maybe turning the entire part of that, of Periwinkle there to 25 miles per hour. I wonder.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Did you
Sorry,
say?
I said I think it would make sense, and as you had proposed, to look at putting the 25 mile per hour speed limit then into that entire stretch of Periwinkle.
Yeah, discussed.
Yes. And also, I think to look into the idea of if we're adding, if we decide that there's room and ability to add that bike lane for faster bikes, again, does it make sense, and do we have room to do that for that part of Periwinkle? So just while we're looking at that, I think it makes sense to look at it sort of holistically for that area.